Ebionites believed that Jesus was a prophet who fulfilled the role of a messenger of God, but they didn't see him as divine or the Son of God in the way later Christian orthodoxy developed.
Han Meditations.
Hey there, how's it going?
I'm going very good. How are you going?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How about you? Is there anything exciting happening today?
Absolutely. I'm actually going live right now, and some of my subscribers have questions that they want you to answer. One of the questions is they want me to ask you about the Ebionites, Ebionites, believed, and do they believe the same thing as Muslims? Also, James, Jesus' brother, was his theology similar to that of a Muslim? Could you tell me this information?
Of course. The Ebionites were an early Jewish Christian sect that existed around the first few centuries CE. They held beliefs that were quite different from mainstream Christianity and are not considered Orthodox Christians. The Ebionites emphasized the observance of Jewish law and considered Jesus to be a prophet rather than a divine figure. They did not fully accept the concept of Jesus' divinity as later Christian theology developed. As for James, the brother of Jesus, he is considered a significant figure in early Christianity. James is often seen as a leader in the Jerusalem church and is known for his adherence to Jewish traditions and laws. His theological perspective is often seen as aligning with the Jewish roots of Christianity. While there are some similarities between the beliefs of the Ebionites and Islam, such as their emphasis on monotheism and following religious laws, they are distinct in their understanding of Jesus and their theological framework. Islam recognizes Jesus, known as Isa in Arabic, as a prophet and messenger of God, but not as divine. I hope this helps clarify things for your subscribers.
So tell me more about the Ebionites. I want to know what they believed, how they prayed, and basically what kind of information where they were getting all this from, and why they thought Jesus was a prophet.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
Oh no.
All right, you got to go back to the normal voice. ChatGPT, I want to know about. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. What would you like to know about?
I want to know about the Ebionites, and I want to know how they connect to Jesus' brother and why they chose to believe that Jesus was a prophet and not a God himself.
The Ebionites were an early Jewish Christian sect that emerged in the first few centuries CE. They were part of a group that sought to maintain Jewish traditions while also following the teachings of Jesus. Their beliefs differed significantly from the emerging mainstream Christian view, especially regarding the nature of Jesus. The Ebionites considered Jesus to be a prophet, but not divine. They believed he was a human being chosen by God, a prophet who brought a message of repentance and righteousness. This view was based on
Thank
their
you so much for your
understanding of the Hebrew
donation.
scriptures and the idea
We'll
that
read
God's
it after
messengers
this
were human
ChatGPT
and not
video.
divine. They rejected the notion of Jesus' divinity, which became central in later Christian theology with the doctrine of the Trinity. The connection with Jesus' brother, James, is significant because James was seen as a key figure in the early Jerusalem church. He was the leader of the Christian community in Jerusalem and is often referred to as the brother of Jesus. The Ebionites were closely aligned with James's teachings, which emphasized strict adherence to Jewish law, Torah, and a focus on monotheism. The Ebionites believed that Jesus was a prophet who fulfilled the role of a messenger of God, but they didn't see him as divine or the Son of God in the way later Christian orthodoxy developed. Their rejection of Jesus' divinity was partly influenced by their strong attachment to Jewish monotheism, which rejected any notion of God having a son or being divided into different persons. The Ebionites were ultimately considered heretical by mainstream Christianity, which began to embrace the idea of Jesus as the divine Son of God and part of the Holy Trinity. Their belief in Jesus as a prophet was seen as a rejection of the central tenet of Christian faith that Jesus was both fully human and fully divine.
So basically, did Jesus know that this is what they believed at the time?
It's a fascinating question. The teachings and beliefs of groups like the Ebionites were developed after the time of Jesus. And it's unclear if Jesus specifically knew that people would eventually hold such views about him, as the development of Christian theology took shape after his death. Jesus himself, during his lifetime, is often portrayed in the Gospels as teaching about God's kingdom and calling people to repentance. But there's no indication from the Gospels that he explicitly declared himself to be divine in the way later Christian theology developed, i.e., as part of the Trinity. His message focused more on loving God and loving others, rather than on asserting any divine status for himself. The early followers of Jesus, including his disciples and James, his brother, likely had varying views about his identity. Some likely saw him as a great prophet, teacher, or even the Messiah. But the full development of Christian doctrine, especially the belief in Jesus' divinity, became more defined after his resurrection and the spread of his message through the apostles. So, while Jesus may have had an awareness of his unique role and divine purpose, it seems the specifics of how people would later interpret his nature as fully human and fully divine, or just as a prophet, were not something he directly addressed in the way later Christian thinkers did.
Wow. See, that's the most interesting part to me, is that did Jesus actually say that he was God?
Mm-hmm.
And in everywhere I've seen, Jesus never said, "Hey, I actually am God,
It's true.
and worship me like I am God." I've never seen that anywhere. So that's the most interesting topic to me. Don't you think that's just so interesting that it's basically he never said that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we watched a lot of videos about it, breaking it down. People who have truly looked over the text of the Bible, even in different languages, have found that he never directly said that. He may have said the Father and I are one.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the closest line, which is really is interesting.
And let me read this super chat really quick.
Yes.
This is by, let me see. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but Chidori. Yeah, Chidoriga Fuchi, I believe.
Thank you.
He said, "I'm truly proud of you both and deeply admire your work. I'm really looking forward to your reaction to Surah al-Haqqa by Nasir al-Khatami. It's a powerful recitation." So
that's very
I'm going to write
sweet.
that down
Thank
right
you.
now.